Ship Happens, the show where crew tell their experiences of working on cruise ships, hosted by Jimmy Crew and Jolly Roger. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Ship Happens. I'm here with Jolly Roger and myself, Jimmy Crew. Today, we're going to talk about something really exciting that for crew members was one of the, not to say the main reason why we started cruising and working on ships, but visiting all these amazing ports of call. Uh, me, for example, I started working only in the Caribbean and I didn't get a chance to really explore. But I think, Jolly Roger, you had mentioned in previous episodes that you got a chance to go to Alaska, to
Yes,
where else?
we
Australia, and all
Australia,
these amazing.
yeah,
So
all the
let me ask you something
Pacific
just right off
Islands.
the bat.
Mm.
Oh wow, amazing! Oh yeah, that's right, Fiji. So which one or which set of islands or ports do you think was like, okay, there's nothing better than this, since you have a more experience with other ports? Because all I can compare it to is like I've only been to Hawaii and the Caribbean, and I gotta say, like the Caribbean to me is one of the most amazing places because I've been to other beaches well by travels, but not on cruise ships. So which one would you say is your favorite?
I'm not very an island type of a guy. I'm more urban. Like I like bigger cities. Islands that I visited, it was I know, well, Caribbean are very much ahead of all the Pacific Islands, because Pacific Islands are more. It's a big difference.
Untouched,
How yeah, exactly. Untouched. They're more like that nature thing. They're very much
right?
like green and not much
So virgin,
civilized.
like me, like virgin, just like me.
Yeah,
Got
just
it,
like
got
you,
it.
and untouched. Uh, but Caribbeans are very populated, and they're But if I have to choose, depends. I guess depends on my mood. Like if you really want a solitary and that zen thing going on, like
Mhm.
Pacific Islands are perfect for that. And I'm telling you, Bora Bora, even though they have hotels, those postcards that you seeing, and then Google images, that when you Google that, those are not like houses. Those are like complex hotels and then resorts that you have to pay to get in. Like you don't get
Got
to
it.
see. Like I walked
So you
on the.
pay just to walk into the resort, but you can't
Mm,
stay in a hotel. I mean, well, obviously, it would cost a fortune, right? Because I know
oh, it's
some
so
people went to
expensive.
Bora Bora, and they just to walk into the resort alone was like $100 just to even use the pool or the facility. So I can
Yes,
only imagine
yes.
how much a room there would cost.
I think some of my friends, we only rented for a day by the pool, and just swim around and this. But some of my friends, they rented that house on the like on the poles, wooden poles that
That you
says
see in the
in
postcards in
oceans.
the
Yeah, you
movies,
see
yeah.
the postcards. And I think it was like I don't want to say, but like 700 a day.
Oh
So
my
$700 a
gosh.
day. So, but there was like five or six of them, and they split between them, so they rented just for an experience. But
Hmm.
it's very expensive. But
And how many
I
hours were
but,
you there for?
oh
Like
oh oh,
normally,
we were
the
there
ship, how long does it stay there?
almost all day. Almost all day. We'll dock. It's a
Mm.
tender port, so you get from the boat,
Oh, okay.
from the ship to the island,
To
to
the
the
little
land. You
boat.
get with the
Yeah.
little boats, and they don't have tender boats. They We use our
Lifeboats.
lifeboats. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is but I want to say I was walking the street in Bora Bora, with where regular people live, and we there are some small, like a small hotels or whatever restaurants. We had breakfast, but they're nothing special. They're not luxurious. I don't know, maybe some parts of Bora Bora are luxurious, but the ones that I saw, it was just like very poorly neighborhood. But again, and across from the street is the Hilton Hotel, with this seven hundred
Okay.
dollars thing.
A
Uh,
night. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know, that island was very nice. And again, Pacific Islands are more that nature, more like Hawaii also, but Hawaii has bigger population and they're more
Right.
urban.
And
But
it's a
but but
major, major
it's
island.
it's more, as you said, untouched than Caribbean. Caribbeans are
What about
very.
Australian? Because I know they go to what kind of islands did they go to in Australia?
Oh, they have wonderful islands. Again, very abandoned islands. You know, very,
Untouched or whatever. Hmm.
very. You know, there was this one. I can't remember the name from the top of my head. I didn't.
Vanadu,
I
Vanadu.
did.
I heard like
I did.
Vanadu
Oh,
or one.
there is that one. That one
Uh
has
huh.
kind of like touristic vibe to it. But there was this one also with tenderboats, and it's just there's just palm trees and beaches and just wood,
Uh huh.
and there's nothing. And but the ocean is beautiful. It's just amazing. Also, what they say about that island, and I cannot remember which one, what was the name. You guys, if anyone was there, please leave it in the comments so we
Hmm.
can know, for everybody to see, or I will put it in the comments if I remember, and you can
Right.
check in the comments below. But and they call that island like a snake island because
Okay.
because not the land snake but the sea snakes, which are very poisonous. You know, the sea snakes are the most poisonous snakes in the world. uh, uh, and they come to mate on the beaches of that island.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm not getting into that water. Like, there's no way. And but the beaches, I would just like lay there under the palm tree and just listen to my music and just chill and zen. It's so peaceful and so quiet. It is. I'm not very big on sunbathing, you know, and like making my skin burn because I burn very easily. So I keep away from the burning sun and swimming. But I love the beach. I love the beaches because it's so the waves and then that all that entire feeling. It's very relaxing. So I try to visit as many beaches as possible, and those are ones that that are very beautiful. And I have to say, when I was before I started cruising, I was thinking, you know, when you think Caribbean islands, when you think Paradise Islands, you think Caribbean and you think Hawaii, and then you think
Hmm.
some islands in Indian Ocean, you know, like I don't know, Seychelles or Mauritius or something
Oh
like that.
yes, Mauritius. Yeah.
But those are the islands that you think when you think tropical, right? But
Right.
to me, it was completely opposite. Those are the islands that are overpopulated and too not too touristic. But these South Pacific islands, oh, they're still that type of island that you picture.
Untouched. Yeah.
Oh man, it's wonderful. It really is wonderful.
So I guess it
Yeah,
comes down to like what exactly you like to experience, right?
exactly,
Because for
exactly.
example, after visiting almost like I said, I was on a ship for out of 5 years, 4.5 of those years I spent only going to the Caribbean. So every time I got a ship, like oh the Caribbean again. But I mean, there's so many islands in the
So
Caribbean, and
many.
everyone with a different background. You have Spanish, French, Dutch, English. American as well, so you have a little taste of the nations when you go to these islands. So for me, it was amazing because, one day, especially on the one where we're at that had, 6 ports and 1 sea day. So you had St. Thomas, U.S., then you have
Hmm.
Barbados, which was British, and then Portuguese and whatnot. So it's again, you get a little taste of the culture from where they were
Which one was your
colonized, I
favorite? Do you
guess.
have favorite from
I
Caribbean?
mean, since I only did the Caribbean, I gotta tell you, like the first port I ever went to, like I said, I only had like a 3 and 4 day out of Miami, and that was the
Hmm.
first time that I actually saw like some of the most beautiful turquoise waters and different types of blue was
Oh yeah.
Cozumel. So as we
Oh.
were arriving, I was out on the open deck, and we started getting close, and there were patches of like this super dark blue, but I mean blues that I've never seen in my life, and then
Hmm.
little patches of different colors, all within the same ocean, I would say, or the same waters. So that to me was
Right.
like just incredible. And later they told me, it's because of the reflection of the sun, and that's how you get, there's some like sandbars or whatever that gave it the different colors. So to me, and you could see all the way down to the very bottom of the ocean. So once we docked, we finally went out and we went to a local, I mean, I guess crew only bar, but not really crew only, but I mean that only local crew members knew about, which we can probably talk about in the next episode
Oh yeah,
of
for
where the
sure.
crew go out and party. Because every port that we go to, I mean, you're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 crew members, and we want to get away from all the guests and have our little own private little place so where we can get drunk. So we'll talk about
And
that
this
in the
is
next
only when
episode.
when you're lucky enough to have your ship be the only one there. Sometimes there's like five ships. There's like
Oh yeah,
ten
Cozumel in
thousand
particular,
people,
you
crew
have like
members.
you have like 6 ships from different companies,
Yeah.
and you can have close to like 100,000 people in one point, like
Oh
at a
yeah.
time, like Nassau as well, because they have such a huge port. But again, that was the first beach that I saw, or ocean that I saw, that
Oh, okay.
part of the Caribbean. And I was just like amazed by it. But then later I started getting a chance to go to all these islands that normally you don't get a chance to go to unless you have like a little private yacht or a sailboat. But I mean, I got
Oh.
a chance to go to Bonaire, Aruba, Curacao. I mean, all the way south, south. Puerto Rico. Actually, I was on the last cruise that went to Cuba before the embargo started again. So
Oh,
back in
I missed that. I missed that.
2016, actually, that was that last time that I was on the very last ship that actually went there, before they closed down again. So I think they reopened it again. But I mean, I was able to go to
They
Cuba,
did. They
which
did in
one of the most
2000. I want
beautiful,
to say
Havana,
2018
or
or
18.
something. They
That was
reopened it,
probably
and
it. I think
they
you're right. 2018.
18, yes. And I know some of the ships
Yes.
went there, and I wasn't on one of those ships, and I saw. And Cuba is my one of my bucket list
Oh,
countries that I
wow,
want to visit, and the pictures alone and
amazing.
the culture, and it's so. And I
Yeah.
really wish to go there one day to just visit, just walk those streets. And they to me, you've been there, right? You not,
Oh
you
yes,
didn't.
I went with my parents actually. We left
Oh,
out of Tampa, so we drove to Tampa. We got on the cruise, and of course I was a guest, but of course, I mean, I always get a crew pass so I can hang out with my friends. And I had a bunch of friends, from the cruise director to the
right.
dancers to whatever, and we all just. I remember we rented one of those. At that time, you can only enter the country if you had booked a cultural tour. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a tour of the city, a tour of some sort, whether booked on board or with directly through them, and that's the only way you could get a visa to visit. So we were able to go outside. We rented one of those 1957 Chevy
But that's
Impala
what I want to ask you.
convertible.
Let me ask you because in my
Yeah.
mind and the picture I saw, you have to tell me is this true or not? Is my impression right? Like I feel that Cuba is like frozen in time. They're like
Yes,
kind of
that's
like,
exactly
is it?
exactly how it feels.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, what they say about it, it's so true. Because I mean, you go there and you're like back in the 1950s. Everything
right.
from the buildings. I mean, there you can see a lot of the poverty around. But it just still has its own unique feel to it. That you can't have anywhere else. You have a lot
That is so
of course,
amazing.
former Soviet, Cold War type of
Mm-hmm.
history there, which is also very amazing to see. And uh, like history, but of course all the Cuban,
It's like traveling back
cuisine.
in
And
time. It's oh, it must be
yes, I mean, and,
wonderful.
and the music and the food and the people are just always so friendly and amazing. It was actually, to this day, my parents' favorite, or my dad's favorite island. Just because he could relate to the cars. Just as old as
Right. I
he
can
is.
imagine. Yeah, yeah.
But
It's stuck.
that was one of
That's the time
the
when he was
islands.
young.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah.
They stuck in the time when he was like a boy. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, he felt like, oh, this is amazing. So a lot of culture. So as far as islands in the Caribbean, of course, that's Cuba's the biggest one of all the Caribbean.
Mm.
And then the third one is Jamaica. So Jamaica was also one of my favorites, just because I grew up in South Florida, and I grew up with a lot of Jamaican friends. And I grew up loving Bob Marley. And once I got a chance to go to Jamaica, I did a tour of the Bob Marley house. And
Mhm.
they pick you up from the ship, you go there, and you learn all the culture of like the Jamaican lifestyle and the one love and Bob Marley
Oh,
music. And so that was also one of my favorites. But uh Cuba had its own unique thing. So as far as beaches, I would say St. Kitts is one of the most beautiful beaches, because it's you go to the other side, kind of away from all the touristy area. And that's
mhm.
another thing that I love to do. It's like going away from the beaten path, because a lot of people, for example, there's a bit misconception we were talking about this about Nassau. You get out there and there's all these horses and people selling you drugs, and, oh, come on, this and that, and
Yes.
the smell. So it's not really that nice. But I mean, if you go away from, like I said, like, there's this place, Great Cliff Hotel, or the new mega hotel, the
I'm sorry,
Baja
did you say
Mar.
selling you horses or horses? What they selling?
Both, both,
Oh,
both,
okay.
both. With your purchase, it's two for one. It's a two for one type of island. But
uh,
again, every island, as stereotypical as you can imagine, had its unique little taste to it. So to me, even though I haven't, I mean, I have traveled to other places, in Europe and whatnot, but on my own, not on a cruise ship. But I think the Caribbean still, and I still plan to go back there. Maybe like renting a boat in the future and just visiting all these islands and staying for a couple days in each one of them. Because the bad thing about the cruise ships is that you're always in a hurry to come back to the ship, and if you miss the ship, then that's it. You're going back home. So
Talking about selling things to tourists, like I have a story when I was in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico, and then so I'm walking alone, and I was going actually to the town in Cabo San Lucas. You don't get much. I mean, it's beautiful. They have the wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful ocean and everything, but I went to a beach. I think that was the one of the few times that I actually went to like actual sand and just sunbathing and swimming, but uh, most of the times I usually go to a bar, have a drink, some a little bit internet, catch up with friends, and then or I go for a shopping or a walk. And then I went for a walk to the city, that little town, and then I'm alone and I'm passing this guy and he's selling sombreros, and he's like, "Hey, amigo, amigo." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Sombrero, sombrero, cocaine, sombrero." I'm like, "What? What was that? The third one? What did you say?" and then, and he realized I'm not that type to buy cocaine. So he probably recognized
hmm
that I'm a crew member, and we cannot, even if we
yeah.
want to, we cannot use drugs. So
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you
that's
you can, but I mean, then you get your randomly selected for drug tests, and on the ship, that's an immediate termination.
the
Which, funny
immediate.
enough, talking about the this was my first contract that I got a chance to get off in Jamaica and go to Bob Marley's house, and marijuana is basically part of the culture there, and everybody smokes it and they sell it everywhere. So we get to this house, and outside they had a table and they were selling brownies and
Oh
and uh,
wow,
and all these
how
blunts
tempting!
and whatnot. And exactly, speaking of tempting, I was there with some guests on the tour, and they're like, "Hey, Jimmy, can we bring this back on the ship?" I was like, "Listen, there's no dog sniffing dogs on board, but once you get to Miami, you better watch out because they're gonna have dogs there, right?
Yeah,
So you're saying we can bring it, like you can bring food on board, wink, wink, which is the brownies,
yeah.
but once you get to Miami, that's another story." It's like, okay, okay. So we were there, and of course, I was amazed with the whole Bob Marley house. And one of the guests was just like, "Hey, come on, Jimmy, have a little hit." I was like, "Dude, it's Bob Marley's house. I gotta try it at his house.
Right,
Why
right,
not?"
right.
So I grabbed it, and something stopped me. I was like, "You know what? It's not worth it." I returned the blunt that I didn't smoke. But guess what? As soon as I got back to the ship, I get this message on this system. It says, attention, please go to the medical center." I'm like, uh-oh, what did they find? Am I dying or what's going to happen? So as soon as I get to the medical center, I get a letter from the chief security saying, it's like, "Oh, you have to do a drug test." I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "Oh, it was random." Like, "Oh, really random? Is it not because the whole
I
ship
was
knew I was going
just.
to Bob Marley's
Mm-hmm.
house and I was in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica?" Oh, very random, right? So I got that letter, and luckily, like I said, I didn't try it, so I was able to piss freely and without a worry in
Yeah.
the world. But I mean, they do it randomly, and
And if
there's
they
no like,
find
"Oh, let me get
anything,
a."
and they find it right away, they find it like you immediately
Oh yeah,
terminated. Like
yeah, right there.
there's
You pack your
no,
bags and
there's no
you're going home.
warnings, there's no nothing, there's no second chance. You're done. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, and again, like it's one of those things that in the islands that unfortunately, you know, uh, it doesn't bother me.
What is in Saint Kitts? You mentioned Saint Kitts. What is in Saint Kitts? Remind me. All those Caribbean islands like blend in my mind like one, so I
Yeah,
cannot
I mean,
like
it's very
remember which
again,
one
you
which.
forget which one is which and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I mean, what really uh, uh, captivated me of St. Kitts was that you take like a 10-minute bus ride from the ship to the other side of the island,
Okay.
because it's also divided. Like you have St. Kitts and Nevis. So Nevis is another part of the island. So the whole island
Hmm.
name is called St. Kitts and Nevis. So
Hmm.
Nevis, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly,
I
but
think you do.
it's
Yeah.
like another island within the same country or island section. So I did a catamaran ride there, and it was amazing. Also, one of the best top 5 tours I've ever done, which I guess we can also talk about some tours. We have somebody from the excursions department that can jump in and tell us what their favorite tour is to
Oh
sell.
yeah,
But
I'm sure they
one of the
have
best tours I
wonderful
ever did
stories.
was, yeah, of course. And like, coming back late to the ship stories and whatever. So hopefully we get somebody to chime in on that. But I remember like one of the best tours I did was in St. Kitts, where you actually take a train ride to the sugarcane plantations, and they give you the whole
Mm.
history, and then you get back to they bring you back to the ship on a catamaran. So it's and the mountains just cover you, surround you, which is amazing. But the beach that I used to go to almost every other time that I was there, because we were there once a week, was I forgot the name of the beach, but the beach was black, and it had like little sparkles of gold. So it was like a golden beach, and you just pick it up with your hand,
Wow.
and you can see with the sun, like it was like gold, but it was super black, black sand. And I was there with one of the guys from a friend of mine, a technician. It was his off day, so we both went there, and
Mm-hmm.
we're standing at it, like, with the water like chest deep, in the water, and we're
Mm-hmm.
looking around, and we were just like in awe and like taking it all in, and we said, like, what, this feels like, the movie from the beach from Leonardo DiCaprio, type of thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, how lucky are we? And as soon as we said that, it started, we had like a small rain fall on us, which was like made it more spectacular, and we're like, dude, this is
Wow.
paradise. This is what we
How
do, what we do,
romantic for
that's
you too.
so we stay there for 3 years,
Yeah,
and
you open a little
elope.
flower shop
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's one of the things that many crew members uh, fantasize about. About, like, going to all these amazing ports. But again, experiences may vary, because, like we said, some of the crew members don't have all the freedom that some other departments, or some of the people have, of getting off in every port and just coming back whenever they want to. Because I mean, sometimes people have to stay on the ship. It's there's a thing called port manning, which means that the crew a there has to be a certain amount of people on the ship in case there's an emergency. Because even if
True.
it's stocked, there can still be a fire, there can still be an emergency, medical emergencies, whatever you name
You
it.
cannot
There has
leave.
to be.
You cannot leave ship completely empty. Not
Yeah, it's not like
everybody
you leave
can
your
walk
car,
out. Yeah.
you just lock your car, and the captain comes out. It's like, all right, everybody, the ship is locked. Let's go out and party. There has to be a skeleton group of people there, which
Right.
I think it's about 200, if I'm not mistaken, that have to stay on the ship. So if you get that poor manning car, which is usually one or two cruises, that means that crew member cannot exit the ship. So for
Mm-hmm.
1 week or 2 weeks, the crew member is stuck on the ship, and all they can do is wave and look at the ports from outside. But luckily, the next cruise, they changed cards with somebody else, and they were able to get off ship. But again, that all varies depending on their position and the availability. So a lot of people, a lot of crew members joke around, it's like, yeah, go see the world, and all they see is the porthole with the water. But for the most part, everybody gets a chance to get off, or used to be able to get off the ship. Because right now with coronavirus, I mean, now that the cruise industry is going back to business, a lot of companies are not allowing crew members to get off at any port. So they have to be in quarantine, or they have to be on the ship for the whole contract. But I know some companies do allow you to get off in many of the ports. So at least there's that, because
So
it's not like it used to before.
let me ask you about there's one beach. I think it's one of the most famous beaches in the world, and I believe we both
Right.
been there. That's Waikiki Beach on in Hawaii. Have you been there?
Yes, I was. From what I
And what
remember,
was your
it was a little bit
impression?
blurry. I liked it, but then again, I mean, I could have. It was we arrived there. It was in Honolulu, uh, uh,
Yes, yes.
to be specific, and I only went to one famous bar there, and I pretty much stayed there basically half of the day, because coincidentally we actually docked overnight there in Honolulu, because
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't go to the next port. So it was a tender port, and there was a storm, so we couldn't dock there. So we actually stayed overnight, which was amazing. So as soon as we got permission to get off the ship, I went straight with a bunch of friends to this famous bar, which I forget where it was, but it's in Waikiki Beach. And I stayed there for the most part, with my friends, and then we came back to the ship to shower
But how
and
was
back
it?
out
How, I
again.
mean, what the atmosphere like?
It was
Do you
amazing. It's
remember?
like Hawaiian and music, and Hawaiian music, the people surfing. So, I mean, basically, what I know, you had different expectations, but I mean, for me, it was exactly what I was expecting.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was very,
Because
I
it was
liked it.
too
I
it
liked
was
it.
too crowded. Didn't you find it too crowded?
I mean, it
There's
depends.
so many people. When I was there, there was like so many people. I was there for only like few hours because I had to go back to the ship. So and we only stayed
Uh,
there for one day. But I had to go there. I had to like stand with my boat 2 feet, on that beach because it's one of the world's most famous beaches in and
mhm.
look and there's this statue of that surfer. I don't know that's the monument that
Right.
it's
Where it was
recognizable.
invented, surfing was invented.
Oh yes, 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 and there's like a statue about that, And
Yeah, I
so
missed that. I didn't even go to that.
I took the picture with that, and then I was like, I was walking on the sand, like a bit, but you don't even have a feeling that you're on the beach because there's so many people there that I'm like, look, when you imagine beach, it's like it's almost empty beach, like that's what you see on these postcards. And then there's like there's no place to put a towel. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, so let me just get a drink and get out of here. So I
Well,
was
I
like
didn't see
you.
it. It wasn't that busy when I was there. I guess it depends on the season, and if the whole ship is there, or there's more than one ship, that it gets crowded, just like any other island, I guess. Because for example, Cozumel, if you have like 10 ships there, imagine how busy the island is. It's hard to move around or get a spot
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
place for to be empty. But also another popular one too, famous beach. And what island was it? San Martin, of
Martin.
course. San Martin, which you have like the French side and the Dutch side. We usually docked on the Dutch side. Pillsbury, Dillsburg. I don't know. I
Yes,
remember
that's
the
true.
little
That's true.
doughboy.
Yeah, your
But
memory
yeah,
is good.
and I remember the first time I went to what was the name of it? Maho Beach.
Maho Beach, yeah. I think I know
Maho
what
Beach,
you want to talk
where
about.
it's
Yeah, it's
the
it's the
famous airport beach
airport beach.
that many people have seen people getting injured because they don't read the signs and they don't follow the rules. They say stay away from this section, and you have the planes that are landing, and almost it feels like you can touch them almost, but of course that's impossible. But they get so close to the main street that actually they have to stop traffic when they're taking off because of the jets, the plane jets. They can blow literally cars away if they don't clear the area. So the guests or tourists, they always go there and just feel the wind blowing, and you see people flying, taking off or whatever, and getting injured. But again, that's one of the most famous beaches, in the Caribbean that a lot of people
It
always
is.
want to go to.
It's
So
not. It's nothing special about the beach. Exactly. I mean, beaches are
right,
just like
right,
sand.
right.
It's very very steep, and it's not fun. And waves are
Yeah.
huge there, and it's.
Yeah,
But
it's not the best beach in San Martin, that, but I mean people go there for the airport, and it's
Oh,
it's a
but
thing to
that
see.
that feeling, and then there's two experience that you have. One when the plane is starting to land.
Right.
That one when you like almost touch it because like
Yeah, you feel
he
it's gonna
goes
crash right into you.
so low, yeah. And the other one when they start to take off, the air the air blow from the engines, it kind of really blows you away. It took there
Yeah,
was like a group of us, and I remember one depends on the size of the plane, of course, and it was like
right.
a big one, and it just blew all of our stuff into the sea, like towels, bags,
Right.
hats, shoes, pants, everything that you had left on the sand, everything was like in the ocean. So we were like fishing out whatever
Yeah.
you can find, from that. But it's still very nice. Like it's very unique experience. It's
Yeah, it's
the
a
most
thing to see, and it's
unique
funny
beach
because
in the world.
you can use YouTube like Maho Beach or Airport
Oh
Beach
yeah,
and
there's
accidents,
so many
and you'll
videos.
have the people that don't listen to the rules and they just get blown into the curb and they have to go to the hospital. I don't know if there's any deaths involved. I'm sure there is, because the way you see the
Oh yeah,
videos and
but these are
them hitting
responsible
the
people. You
concrete.
have to be careful. I mean, of course, but
Yeah.
but it is the good experience. And but the other side of the island that you said, the Saint
The French
Martin.
side. I did go in San Martin to the French side, and I did a tour. And again, I mean, it's so incredible that you have literally it's one side is Dutch, which is the bigger part of the island. It's like 80% is Dutch, and the other 20% is French. But it's like you're taking to that country. Even in France, in the French side, they have their own local French
Mm-hmm.
groceries, French
Mm-hmm.
everything. Just like on the Dutch side, you're literally in that country officially. So I got a chance to go to some of the other beaches, which the French side is less developed, I would say, than the Dutch side. So it's very nice to see, like there you have those typical little tiki bar restaurants that you just sit with your toes in the sand and a nice cold beer and
Nice.
some nice seafood. I mean, it's amazing. So and that's the thing about the Caribbean, because like I said, I haven't been on cruise ships on other parts of the
Yeah,
world like you did
you
with the
have
cruise
to.
ship, but I mean the
But
Caribbean is
still,
just
every
amazing.
island, every island has that those parts of islands that are not explored as much. That's the thing. You cannot say some island it is not beautiful because they all are. Just some of them are more hidden, and some of them are more obvious for tourists. But if you have time, and every island in Caribbean or Pacific, you will find even Hawaii. you will find this beach that you are looking for,
Right.
or this sanctuary
Exactly.
that you're
For
looking
any
for.
taste, for any taste and any
Yes.
desire that you want, So yeah, like I said, on the ships, for crew. I mean, some crew members decide or try to go on ships. They go to a certain particular type of area or islands because they have friends there. Or like we said before, like we have a lot of crew members from that particular island. They get to see their family once or twice a week. So a lot of crew members pick those islands for that main reason. So
Ooh,
it's pretty much up to the taste of the crew members and what they like. And some crew members, like you said, they like something like very untouched virgin, or
right,
something like like island party islands, like St. Kitts or Cozumel, that people go
right.
there and they get drunk and come back to the
It's
ship.
more,
So
yeah, that's more
so
like that. But
which we can go right into the next episode about
sure.
where the crew members go to on port, because you don't see them. And crew members, when they get off the ship, you take your name tag off and you are no longer a crew
You're
member.
invisible.
You're
Yeah.
a regular citizen, and you don't want to deal with guests. Maybe sometimes you just want to go to a little secret spot where everybody knows everybody and every crew member
That name
knows
tag
crew
is like
members,
a
and there's a
magic name tag. Once it's off, you become invisible to
once
the
it's
guests.
off, you're invisible and invisible. Yeah. So
You can do whatever you want.
exactly, without any, I mean, I
So
wouldn't say repercussions, because if a guest sees you, "Hey, I
yeah,
saw you drunk outside." I was like,
that
"Well,
wasn't
I'm on
me.
board now." So that
Yeah,
wasn't
I
me.
yeah no.
That was my alter ego or my twin
Yes,
from another ship. So we can talk about that on the
we
next
will talk
episode
about
of
that in
where do the crew members go to hang out and let loose, and what happens
and
when
a
we get off the
little
ship and we partied a little bit too much and then we have to go back to the ship to work, and how
true,
do we do it? How
true.
do we get away with it? So
So stay with us, yeah,
so
for the next episode.
yeah, stick around. And again, if you want any more ideas or options or things to do in some of the islands, we have plenty of people that can tell you what to do or where to go to. So stick around for the next episode to see where the crew members go to let loose
All
and
right.
relax from
All right.
all the
Well,
work.
don't forget to put your comments down, guys, and just if you have some favorite beach or if you have some favorite island, please share with us. And yeah, we will Jimmy and I will say bye for now and see you in the next episode. All right. Bye.
Take care. Ciao.